What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Optimized Ecommerce podcast. I'm Tanner Larsson, your host, as usual. And today we're actually going to do something a little bit different. All right. Normally, you've been hearing us bring on different BGS team members and, having them share different expertise and different topics and really just brain pound you guys with ecom optimization, revenue optimization knowledge. And, that's great and everything. But we've also had people asking like, hey, what about people who use this stuff? What about people who, are following BGS or are customers of BGS or people who just are successful in e-commerce? What about them? And, when we started the podcast, originally the intention was for it to be pretty much a way for our team, for us to let our team get into the limelight and share their expertise. And from our side, we accomplished that. But obviously from our listeners' perspective, they're like, hey, we want to hear more. We want to hear more stuff from other people and people who are owning their stores and doing it. So we're going to start bringing a bunch of those people on. And one of the groups that we're going to be bringing on first and foremost is our 7- and 8-figure award winners. So at BGS, in our education side, we have programs like Ecom Business Blueprint, Ecom Insider, Amplified, things like that. And in those programs, we teach all the stuff that we're talking to you guys about in a much more condensed and intensive fashion, like a business accelerator. Now, people who use that stuff, who are members of our program, part of our family, when they build that 7-figure store or that 8-figure store, we actually ship them and make them a custom big award. It's like 3 feet by 2 feet, whatever. It's big. It hangs on their wall. And we award them on stage at our live events. And we mail it to them and they have a copy. They can hang it on their wall. And then we have one at the office as well. So we said, what better people to bring on first than people who are literally having success using everything we've been, shoving down your throats in the podcast for the last year. And to kick us off, we are going to be talking to one of my favorite people in the Ecom Insider world and the BGS family. She's been a customer for a long time, but a family member that entire time as well. We consider anybody who's in the Ecom Insider world a part of the family. And we call Carrie the mama bear. Her name is Carrie Newman. And she's definitely a ride or die, like believes in what we do and supports the other family members. But the cool thing is Carrie's been with us since pretty much day one or just shortly thereafter of the Ecom Insider world. And she's also gone from having one business that she thought was good to scrapping that business and coming up with a completely new one from the ground up and taking that company from zero to millions of dollars doing exactly what we teach. And then also branching off into wholesale and a whole bunch of other stuff. And she manufactures her own product, not some drop ship thing. So very, very cool to have her on. So Carrie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tanner. I'm really excited to be here with you. I love to talk with my BGS family.
Absolutely. No, we love having you on. We love just the times we were just talking offline about the event and how, because 2020, we didn't get to have the event and we're kind of all having withdrawals from seeing each other, right?
Yeah, very much. I really have missed seeing everyone. It just felt like the family reunion that I didn't get to have. I didn't care so much about missing my own family reunion, but it was the BGS family reunion that really made me angsty for a while, not being able to go to.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's exactly how we've been feeling. And we're excited to hopefully have another event this year and get everybody back together. But let's go ahead and dive into basically you. Why don't we start with just a little bit so people can kind of get to know you, like how you started the ecom, the whole thing like that, and then what your company does.
Okay. Well, I guess I would probably describe myself as a business fangirl. Growing up, my dad, I saw him in business and how he interacted with people, and I just always loved it. And I always admired how he worked with people, and I knew I always wanted to go into the business world. And when I was in college, I actually went on a business trip where we visited a whole bunch of businesses, and I met my husband on the business trip. And we actually even got engaged on the business trip, which is a whole story for another day, super short. But we were at Nike and they had a saying that said, without risk, there's no reward. And so that was kind of like a mantra that had been in our marriage all the time is without risk, there's no reward. And we went on, he worked and did different jobs and side hustles and things. And I kind of was a stay-at-home mom and with my kids, and I have 4 kids. And but we kind of got to the point that we wanted to live in a certain area. and there wasn't work for him in that area. So we decided to start our own company. We had looked at a lot of different options. And one of those was buying an existing e-commerce business. And the entire time I was a stay-at-home mom, I always was reading marketing books and self-help books and learning what was up and what was going on, and doing a little bit of consulting for people on the side, some graphic design work and different things. And we were going to buy this e-commerce business, and I think it was on Volusion, and it was built in like 1998. And it was an optics store, and we looked at it, and I'm like, this is awesome, but I don't know very much about e-commerce. I knew about a lot of different things. So what do? I go to Amazon and search e-commerce books, and E-commerce Evolved came up. So I bought the book, read the book, decided to do this. I just followed the funnel, like true customer, hook, line, and sinker. Followed the funnel, bought the extra chapter or the audiobook. I can't remember in the back what it was, and then from there I joined EI and Ecommerce Insider. And through a couple months after I joined, Ecommerce Insider actually had kind of a complete redo where they changed how everything was going. And I wanted to learn everything I could. I was like this wet sponge, or the sponge that just wanted to absorb everything. And so I was like, this is great, this new program, and they have all these different calls, and there's all these resources. And I literally got on every single call and was on every jam session and was on every Tech Tuesday and everything. And I just have notebooks of notes, and I'd watch them over and over again. And my kids and my family knew, hey, I got a meeting here. And I would just do everything. And
I remember you even hopping on when you were sick. You'd be sick and in bed, and you'd still hop on, and we'd pull you up, and you're like, oh my God, I'm dying. But you still did it.
Yep. There was one time that I had actually come to an event in Reno, and it was my first live event with everybody. And half of us got this horrible flu. It was it was the worst thing ever. And we were kind of doing a follow-up call after it. And all of a sudden you guys pop me on, and I'm laying in bed, and I had been like quarantined from my family. And yeah, it was hilarious. Sort of. I'm glad very few people remember that visual. But so I just, in learning so much, I realized that purchasing this e-commerce store was totally not right. And it wasn't the correct thing for us. The margins weren't there. There wasn't the way to it was a higher price product. The repeat purchases would be a lot harder to do, and different things like that. And plus it just was horrible. The amount of SEO work and changing of the back end would have been a nightmare. And so I said to my husband, I'm like, look, these are the rules that we need to have. And what ideas do you have? And he has been in the firearms space, and he works as a firearms designer for years. And at the same time, we had found some existing gun cleaning mats that were, printed and made in China and then shipped over. But what was funny is a lot of them were incorrect.
Oh yeah.
The crap on it was wrong. It just wasn't that good of a quality. And so with his skill set, we learned that we could manufacture these in the United States and tie in a custom option for our customers, and have that for them, where we could serve the smallest little firearms trainer who did a class every quarter, and he could create custom mats for himself, up to serving some of the top firearm companies in the industry. And so that's where we went. And I was really blessed, because from the ground up, I knew the right foundation to set for my business. And so when I did the website, it was really funny, because like I said, I have some graphic design and some marketing and Kickstarter and fundraising backgrounds and stuff. And I would have never designed my website the way the BGS theme or with the BGS principles, because it's just different from what the Google searches will tell you to do. Right. And even now I'll have some people say stuff to me that are these massive marketers. They'll be like, you should do this on your website. And I'm like, actually, I shouldn't. And I know why. And do you know why? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, because of this. Like, you spend so much money to get someone to your website. Do you really want to turn around and then refer them back to Facebook? No.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I was just really blessed. But the bulk of our business was wholesale for a long time. Um, and then we, really ramped up with retail and our B2C, and that's just blown up like crazy. And it's so nice to know what to do. I don't have questions. I don't have to be like, well, do I do this or do I do this? It's kind of like, no, this is what we do because this is what BGS says, and we're going to try this first. And if it doesn't work, then we can test it and see what works for us.
Yeah. And that's actually a really good point. Not to derail your story, but we teach so much stuff on here. And the thing is that it doesn't mean that it's always going to work every single time on every single store, right? Like but people think, oh, I did it and it didn't work. Well, that's okay. Like, let's say we give you 100 things. Well, we fully expect that 40 of them, 50 of them aren't going to work on your store, because not every site's different, right? What Carrie's gun cleaning map site is going to be different from someone's supplement site or whatever. So the idea is not that every single thing works, but we're giving you all the best principles, and then you can test them against your demographic in your store. As long as you implement them correctly, you're going to get that, you're going to very quickly find out what works and what doesn't, versus having to guess what even to try.
Yeah. And then that really has made all the difference. And it's been really fun to grow my company and to now bring on team members that I can be like, okay, start doing this. And because, for so many years I was in survival mode and just starting up mode. And it's a really hard place to be in. And, and there, it really tests your mettle. And so
we've had lots of conversations about that.
We have had lots and lots of conversations about that. There are days that you kept me from, going absolutely crazy. And, but the thing is, it's really fun to bring people on and be like, okay, let's implement these things that I know are BGS principles that I haven't had a chance to do yet, but we're now starting to implement them. And it's just kind of like the slide edge principle, where a little bit is adding more and more and more each time, and the business is growing and it's rolling and getting bigger and snowballing. And that's been a lot of fun, because once you get that momentum going, you get through that part, the momentum just really moves you forward, and you move forward at much faster and better, more sustainable, with less energy. That is just amazing.
Yeah, you're not working as hard for every single bit that comes in, right? It just kind of it snowballs.
Yes.
So I want you to talk a little bit about kind of what it was like as you went from where you like the specifically the ecom struggle of going from small and back against the wall to going to where all of a sudden, there wasn't all of a sudden, I know there's a lot of trials and tribulations in there, but in a very short amount of time, you went from there to a 7-figure award. And you're way beyond that now. So talk a little bit about that what that was like from the ecom side.
Right. So like I said, we had primarily been focusing on wholesale, and I had just let go of my sales guy. It was just I had just let go of my wholesale sales guy, and COVID hit, and we kind of were just sitting here going, well, great, here goes a bunch of our revenue, because we have people who go to shows and events and sell our mats as dealers. And so we were like, we really need to push our B2C side. The foundation was there, but we hadn't really focused on running paid traffic and email and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we had a couple basic flows in and different things that way, but we just decided we just had to really fish or cut bait, like just, we're either going to make it or we're not with this business, because we just had no idea what COVID was going to do. Like, no one knew what was going to happen. And so we just really threw a whole bunch of money at Facebook ads. And part of it was I had a contact through BGS. That's one of the best things about BGS and Ecom Insider, is having the resources. And if there's something I don't know, there's someone who I know to ask. And I had someone kind of mentor and help us set up some evergreen Facebook ads. And we just really, really started running them. And it just immediately took off. It just completely launched. And our wholesale died down for a little bit, but we still increased 63% over, like our wholesale did 63% more over 2019 and 2020. And my B2C side matched almost exactly in sales revenue in 1 year, not even in 1 year. It was really like 9 months. That it just completely did exactly what I had done in wholesale. So I went from like 2% retail sales and ecom sales to half, 50%.
Which is
and
awesome.
It really blew up. And so the thing is I was always afraid. I'm in the firearm space, so every time we submit something, it's rejected, and it's a very emotional space.
Yes.
Online, we get a lot of hate messages, and it takes a lot of work to get stuff up and kind of fight the process and stuff. So it had always, and two, I didn't feel like I had the time to really sit down and watch the ads and make sure I wasn't losing money and all that kind of stuff. And so it was always a big scare for me. But when I, trusted the process and finally just went in and found people who could help me and really help it grow and really set it up for success, it just took off. And we proved that we can definitely really, really exceed and do very well. And we've really increased. Before, when we weren't doing much, our average order value wasn't very much, but we really increased our average order value. Our conversion rate shot through the roof, a whole bunch of different things. It was really just this massive factor of all different things finally coming together, which was so incredible.
No, it was fun to watch, and I loved when we saw your name come up for the award and got to see it printed in the office ready to ship out to you. So what did that, talk a little bit about that, like when that showed up in the mail? What was that like? Like, what did that do for you?
Shoot.
You don't have to cry. I'm not trying to make you cry. I just want to
like you're going to get me emotional here. It's crazy because I had been to multiple events. I had been a member for a long time. So I had seen people come in like after me or before me that, got their 7-figure award, like right away, their following year, right. Really quickly. And I just knew I was just plugging along. And it was just, when it came, it was just like almost surreal, and still in a ways it's surreal. Like it's hanging up in my office where I can see it and stuff. And it's really cool, but it was really emotional because it's a plaque that hangs on the wall, which is really awesome. But the emotion and the effort and the energy and the work that went in from so many people, that went into getting that, it wasn't just, it was a team effort, and we all put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen.
And the family sacrificed. And I mean, it's like a win for the family, right? Like
it was a huge win. Yeah.
The whole family did without. You guys had to, you guys were struggling through it and pushing and starting a business, off your shoestrings, right? Like that's just how you do it. And I couldn't have been happier when you guys hit that. Just as and guys, it's not so much like Carrie. Yeah, she says, I threw it on my wall. It's awesome. I can look at it. But the problem is that, and as entrepreneurs, and Carrie's a big issue with this as well, just like I do, but we don't let ourselves celebrate our own successes or our own wins. As soon as we achieve something, it's like, okay, that's not enough. I got to go on to the next thing. And we realized that's why we started doing these awards. So it was like, hey, stop, take a second, like realize that you deserve some recognition for this. You deserve to be okay and be happy. And, just give yourself a little bit of gratitude for what you've accomplished. And that it's like they're milestone things. But the thing is that before we started doing these awards, we started giving them out, almost every single person had that same thing of like, yeah, you know what? I never really gave myself a pat on the back, or even like, didn't even go out to McDonald's for dinner kind of thing, like for accomplishing something. And this is a big deal. So it definitely was, for Carrie and everything else. Well,
and to be fair, I did take my family out for a really nice steak dinner because we're vegetarians like Tanner, right? Our vegetables come through our steak.
Yep.
The cows eat the vegetables and we eat the steak.
It's science.
Yep.
Science.
Yep, exactly. And so I did take my family out for a really big dinner, and it was really fun because it was good to be like, this is you guys, you earned this too. And my kids felt that was really special, and we had a really good time with that. And then I got onto the e-commerce insider group and I shared it, and I thanked everybody because, when you're in those down and out places, you have to have a support system. And I know if I have a question about one thing, I can list off my head, you need to go in the group and talk to this person and they can help you with this answer. And you should ask this person. And I have a small accountability group that every day Love my girls. We message each other and we say, what's the one thing we have to do? And the three things.
And you met those girls
through
in
BGS.
EI. Through Ecom Insider.
Yeah. One of them. So Svetlana and I are really close, and it was funny because we had never met, but we shared a hotel room in Reno.
That's right.
And so we were really good friends online, but then it was like, hey, I'm actually really meeting you, and now we're sharing this hotel room, and so it's been a lot of fun. And Anna is just a rock star. She just knows so much. And when you're down or when you're struggling or your celebrations, I mean, it's so fun when we have those little daily things that we accomplish or that we do. It's fun to have people to celebrate that with. And that's what has been so awesome to me about this is having the group. I don't think I would be successful if I didn't have that support system built in, because when it's hard, when I have a question, when you need to celebrate, when you need to rant, you have people there who get it.
And when you're stuck, right?
And I have friends all over the country that I just love. And it's just so fun to know that I'm going to Florida in July. And so I reached out to Mark and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here. You should come and see me. And it's just really fun. When he's at gun shows in Florida, he sends me pictures of my mats being sold by a customer. And it just really is family. And what's funny is my family knows people in the BGS group by name because I talk about them all the time because they're my family, And so when a boy broke my daughter's heart, my girls were like sending her messages of encouragement. And that's just what's so awesome about having a great business community.
For sure. So I gotta give you credit and throw Anna under the bus because I know she's going to be listening.
You always do. Because you always
do. I have to. So Anna and I have a very special relationship. She's my younger sister, but she's not. But she is. I was
going to say, do you really? Does she claim that?
No. But Anna. So Anna she's been with us for a long time. She's a great friend. She's an awesome businesswoman, a mother. She's probably the woman I look up to, or person I look up to most in terms of how to live for your child and manage business and life around that. She's rock star at that. So there's the good part about Anna, but the part of throwing her under the bus is that she was actually supposed to be the first podcast episode for the 7-figure and 8-figure award winners, because we were like, who should be first? Well, Anna's been with us the longest. And then also she, designed the 8-figure award and everything else. And then, so we tried to schedule it and we got her on the schedule and then she chickened out.
Oh no.
Yeah. So she's like, hey, I'm going to see Tanner next week at the wedding. Maybe we'll just do it in person. And I'm like, yeah, right.
Aww.
Like that's going to happen, but I'm still going to make fun of her there. And I know she'll listen to this episode. So, she'll hear that as well. But anyway, you got to be first because you had more courage than she did on that one. Cause she gets super shy, but she has no reason to be because she's a rock star.
She's like, I mean, you could jump on any call and she's on every call, like still now. And I'm like, kudos to you. Cause I just struggle finding the time a lot to get on the calls. Cause with manufacturing and managing and raw materials and all that stuff is kind of crazy, but the gold that she gives on the calls every week, whether it's the copywriting call to the Ask Me Anything call, she's just, she's
a rock star.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely. And she's definitely, we actually pulled her up. We had a challenge call on the last day of the challenge. We pulled her up on the last minute and she didn't know it. And, and that was fun.
She may or may not have mentioned that to me.
May or may not, but she did great. And it was funny. And we got to tease her about it a little bit, but so anyway, I wanted to get back to, I had to throw her under the bus. I had to, but now moving back onto you. So like you've been, how many years have you been in EI?
So I think it's been 4. Like
I was going to say, 4 years.
Like it was April actually. So probably right about 4 years right now. So instead of your 1-year anniversary, you can celebrate Carrie's 4-year anniversary.
4 year.
There you go.
Carrie and Corey's 4 years.
Yeah, Carrie and Corey, but
Corey's her husband. So
Corey's my husband.
Yeah. But so anyway, guys, the cool thing here about them is they, like Carrie said it, she had nothing knowledge-wise about how to do e-commerce. And it wasn't like she came in with a successful store already and then it made it more successful. She literally went from ground zero, and built, Serious Gear, but she also had to dig her way out of that previous almost buying a business and getting all locked into that. And then things were good. They were making money on wholesale, focusing on that category. COVID hits. She has to shift her focus again, and then, blows up her ecom store. So just a testament to, sticking with it and then pivoting. And also, I guess that, realizing that you can have two sides of your business both making money, which would be kind of nice, right?
Oh yeah, it's super nice because it's been really nice because when Facebook ads are really bad, I have my wholesale still and I can put a little more effort into that. So it's definitely nice to have multiple sources of revenue and ways to do different things. So that's super awesome.
Building off that for a second, like we obviously, this entire podcast is about what Build, Grow, Scale does, and that is revenue optimization. Talk about revenue optimization for a minute. What do you like in your perspective of it, why it's important? If it's important, all that kind of stuff?
Well, revenue optimization to me is super important because it just, it really is what moves the needle, like in all honesty. You can put up a pretty site, you can you can be involved in wheels and effort day in and day out. But if you don't really focus on what drives the revenue in your business and then optimizing that, then why are you in business, right? We're all in business to make money. And so to me, revenue optimization is taking what you're doing, refining it, improving it, and growing and just building brick by brick success and really so that you have the revenue so that you can grow your business and have new products and do different things and all that kind of stuff. So
would your store have been able to grow without it?
Absolutely not. It would not at all. And I actually have a specific story I can give you.
Sure.
Sometimes I hate coming on these podcasts because I feel like, well, I'm not an Anna or I'm not a Devin. I mean, these guys have so much value. Like they open their mouths and it's like they're vomiting value everywhere, right? And I'm not like a statistics or numbers girl. I'm more in the big concept ideas and the strategy and planning and stuff. But 2020 for us was once we decided to get on the e-commerce thing, it was like I had got on one of those old like metal merry-go-rounds that you spin around really, really fast and everything's a whirlwind and kids are flying off left and right. That's just kind of how 2020 felt for me. And what happened was I was so busy and we were coming in Q4 and I knew that there was things that I needed to do to improve my store and just take it up the next notch, next level. I knew I really wanted to do a site revamp, but I didn't have the time for it. So I'm like, okay, what are the two things that are going to move the biggest needle? And at this point, it wasn't bad. I mean, we were doing really great in sales. Our conversion rate was like 4.8% or something around there. So, I mean, it was decent. I mean, that's better than most of your e-commerce stores and stuff. Totally. For sure. Right.
I mean, that's we always joke about that being like a bad day for Ecom Insiders is 4%. And then,
exactly. Yeah. And so we were doing really, really great. And, but I just knew there were certain things that need to be done. And one of our businesses, we have a lot of products because there's a lot of firearms out there and everyone wants their specific firearm. It's like, the Ford versus Chevy versus Ram, you have your diehards for that brand, that firearm, that whatever. And we did not have a way for people to filter and search very easily. We had it divided by like the size of the gun and different things, but we didn't have a way to filter it. Yep. And so we decided to do two changes to our website. We redid our banner with a clear, unique selling proposition, really clear on what it was. We had a really awesome picture of a guy cleaning a mat, but it was like, what was the focus? And was it the gun? I mean, the gun always attracts everybody's eye because all of us gun people are like, oh, dang, that looks so hot. We love those. Yes, but people weren't seeing the mat. They didn't know what it was. And so we changed it to really focus on the mat. Of course, we had to put a really cool gun on it because that's just what we do to everything. And then we added the filter to the website, and it literally blew our conversion rate up. There were a couple days in December that our conversion rate was at 12%, which is mind blowing, which is awesome. It's so awesome. So I talk about business as literally you grow and you have a problem and you solve that problem and you grow into the next problem. And so we were selling so much that we couldn't keep up with the demand, and we ran out of raw materials like 2 weeks before Christmas. And we had like 300 back orders of people who we couldn't fulfill the orders to, which is the worst place to be in as an e-commerce business at Christmas time and all that kind of stuff. We did have one thing going for us, and that was the fact that it was COVID. And so everyone was having issues, right? And getting materials. We were supposed to get materials, but they weren't delivered and everything else. But we were able to, we individually reached out to every single one of those people. And we were like, hey, we're really sorry. This is what happened. Would you like us to refund your money? We offered to ship what we did have in stock. And out of like the 300 people, we only had like 10 to 15 who wanted a refund. And the rest all decided to wait, which was like phenomenal. That was really great. And
it's because you made that effort, you know? Right.
You have to make that effort. And it's funny how we just make that effort on customer service to really show people that we are who we say we are. And we play a lot into our brand story as far as the fact that my husband and I are firearms people. We love to shoot. We love to do all this kind of stuff. We're very patriotic.
And people buy from people, right? So they want to see you guys. They don't want to see some corporate-y, sterile thing.
Right. And the people are understanding. It's really nice because when you do communicate with people, they are very understanding. And for the most part, I mean, every now and then you always have those lovely people that have an issue, but that is not your issue. It's their issue and they're that mean. But for the most part, we've just had amazing customer service and people really love that. And so you build the foundation by having an amazing store, but then you follow up with great customer service and tell people your story and why they should buy from you. And I had an amazing testimonial on Monday morning. I showed up in my office and this guy, he asked a question when we were getting a certain mat design in. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I know, I've been watching that one too. I want it. We're working on it. And it's on the list. And he emailed back and just gave us the most raving review and just said, I want you to know that I love your brand. And I have told all these different people about it. And these guys have bought it. And I love how you reach out to people and how, you know, we know who we're buying from and that you're making them yourselves and all these different things. And it's just made a huge difference.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's great. So Carrie, I wanted to, the other thing, so guys, you're listening to Carrie's story and obviously you're listening to what she's saying. So her saying that she has no value to deliver, we all know is BS, right? Because she's got gold coming out of her mouth right now while she's talking. And if you didn't pick up on that, she even gave you like the 2 tweaks that she did, which are both big wins on any store and things like that. But so she's definitely got a lot of value. But the other thing is from a totally random left field thing, she's also the luckiest damn person I've ever met in my entire life. Okay. So I'm the guy who buys all the raffle tickets. Like there could be 100 raffle tickets and I own 99 of them. I'm not going to win. Not even the secondary consolation, like thanks for participating prize. Right.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny.
So I always, it doesn't matter where I go, silent auctions, whatever. I buy the raffle tickets. I want to win. Right. Then there's Carrie who wins everything, guys, like legitimately. Okay. So not only BGS Live, right? What did you win at BGS Live?
$100.
Yeah.
Cash. Yep.
$100 cash off like just a quick giveaway. And then, what was it? Was it the year before that one? Or is it that same year that you won?
It was that
truck
year. Yeah. I won a truck. Yep.
Not just a truck, but
I got to build my dream truck.
Yes.
Yeah. It was awesome.
So tell that story real quick, because that's a cute little story and it's just ridiculously jealous.
Well, my husband and I we love rodeo. You know, we're all American, small town, rural people. So we go to the rodeo every year and we were leaving the rodeo and they give that Ram rodeo truck away every year. And I said to my husband as we're leaving, I'm like, we should just go enter. And he's like, sure. So we walked over and I first walked up to the guy and I'm like, cause it was for a $70,000 voucher to build the truck that you wanted. And I said, are there really trucks that cost $70,000? I found out very quickly that yes, you can add up to 70,000 really quick. Yes. And we were just talking to him and I entered and then they called me up and were like, you won. And my husband's out of town. And I'm like, are you giving me a truck? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, are you shitting me? And they're like, sorry. And they're like, no, you really won. And they're like, as long as you just send us like your ID and all the different things. And so I tell my husband, he's like, it's a scam. Don't do it. So I do all this research on the company because there's on a prize that big, there's a lot of they have to have an independent company that manages it. And so I did all this research to find out that it was a legit company. And before I shipped off my social and signed my life away and notarized papers and everything. And then I had to go to the dealership to pick out the truck. And so I get Corey in the car. And meanwhile, I've been totally geeking out, like researching the packages I wanted, everything that I wanted. And then we get there and they're like, welcome, and helping me pick out. And I knew exactly what I wanted. And Corey had no idea because he thought this whole time I was being scammed. And so finally came down to him like, well, dear, since you don't know anything else, what color do you want? So he picked the color and I picked everything else in the truck. And then we get in the car and he's like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, why? He's like, I totally thought you were getting hosed. He's like, I was expecting to have this conversation with you going home of like, it's okay. People get, people get tricked all the time. Yep. And anyways, he's a very happy man because he's the one who drives the truck. So,
Yeah. Awesome story though. But I remember anyway, Carrie wins everything. So if she's ever around you, don't enter.
I've also won a box of ammunition. Like there was a huge box of like 9mm and 223, and you had to guess how many rounds. And I won that. And I've won concert tickets and lots of different things.
Rubbing it in. That's cool. Like,
I won a bag at the NFR, and with the truck, we did get a trip to the NFR, which was awesome.
That's cool.
But in all honesty, Tanner, I'm this goes with business too. I'm going to just hold you to the fire here a little bit. How many people hold you to the fire, Tanner? Carrie will, I guess. So
yeah, true.
But the whole thing is that if you believe that you're not going to win, you won't win.
You definitely won't. Very true.
Believe that you're not lucky. I hear people say all the time, well, I'm just not lucky. And I'm like, well, you're not, because you don't believe. You don't believe that you have the ability to do it. And sometimes in business, I've just really learned that I have to, I don't want to say believe, but I have to do all that I can and then believe that it will work out. And I'm a religious girl, I'm a Christian. And so I believe in God, and I know people believe in the universe or Buddha or whatever, and that's totally fine. But there were so many times in my business starting out that I literally had to be like, okay, Lord, I've done everything that I can. I don't have enough money for payroll on Friday. I need you to make up the difference. And every time he did. And so, but I trusted him and I knew that he would.
Yeah. And that's, you're right.
You have to believe that it will work, and you have to believe that. And even if it doesn't feel like right now, I remember days and days just wondering, will Starscare really make it? But looking back on it, I can see that just the constant effort day in, day out of showing up, having a belief in it, doing what you can do, and just believing that the rest will work out and the rest will come to you. It will. And it does. It happens all the time. You're planting seeds and you will get the harvest if you keep planting. But the problem is when you get sweaty and uncomfortable and the ground is really hard, you don't want to plant the seeds. You want to drink your lemonade or get distracted. Like, oh, there's some weeds over here. I should go pull instead of planting. You have to plant day after day after day. Show up. My dad told me when I started this business, he's like, the hardest part of starting your own business is showing up every day. And it's true. It's really true. And so believing and showing up is just what you got to do, trust in the process.
For sure.
So
that's awesome. I think that's actually was where I was going to end it, but I can't. So I got to ask you one more. So with all that you've said, which is powerful, if you could give, and you could reiterate a piece or you could give new advice, but if you could give the people listening one tip, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I don't really do well with ones. I could give you like 20, right?
Just pick one additional one. You've already given a bunch. Just give one additional one.
I think the number one tip that I have, and I learned this from you, to be completely honest, is there's that book called Ready, Fire, Aim. I love that book. It's a really good one. You'll never be 100% ready. You'll never, like I said, if I had the RO team look at my website right now, they could give me a list of 4 pages long of things that are wrong with my website, right? But am I waiting to have all those in place before I'm running ads or before I'm selling or before I'm doing stuff? No, I'm not. Things will never be perfect. There's always stuff you can do. There's always systems to implement. There's always products to add. There's always more Facebook you can do. There's always more analytics you can do. Just do it anyways. Just do it anyways. Just get in there, send it, I don't know if you guys have watched that guy on YouTube that just going to send it, just send it, get rip roaring drunk and get on a snowmobile and hit that 40-foot jump. I don't know. Just do it.
Just do it.
And like I said earlier in that last question is when you just get in and send it and you do it smartly. I mean, I don't drink, so, I wouldn't go on a snowmobile 40-foot jump drunk, but you just got to go out there. And if you have some basic knowledge and skills, which you can get on this podcast, I mean, this podcast is a wealth of information. I was even listening to it this last week and I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. That was awesome. That was such great ideas. And there's so much information you can constantly be learning. So you take those little tools, implement a little bit at a time and send it, improve it, send it, improve it, send it. Don't wait to be perfect. 100%. Just get out there and do it and start. And then it's easier to make more changes as you grow. And it's easier to hire people to help do things as you grow. And it's easier to expand as you do those things, but don't wait to be perfect. And don't be afraid of hard work. This is hard.
Yep.
I think people think I'm going to make this $1 million company and it's going to be easy. And it's not. I mean, you want the crash course in personal development, go start a business.
Very true.
You have to improve yourself so that you can grow your business.
Mm-hmm.
It'll test you to everything you're worth. But again, same thing with yourself. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to do things perfectly, but just do the best you can. Just every day, show up and send it.
Absolutely. That's great. So that's honestly, guys, that's a perfect way to wrap this up. Carrie, thank you so much for this. Guys, if you're listening, take action on any one of the things that she said today. She's given you a bunch of different tips. And if you are struggling or you're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, like just kind of replay what Carrie just said in telling you her story, because there were times where she couldn't see light at the end of the tunnel either, but she kept after it. She kept plugging away, kept doing it, kept planting the seeds every day. And, now she's got the business that she wants. It's built, it's growing, and she's not going to give up now. She's just going to keep taking it on to the next level. So Carrie can do it. You can do it. We can all do it, right? It's not beyond what you can do. And Carrie, I really appreciate you sharing your story and being so vulnerable, and just blunt. I mean, I knew you would be, but I do appreciate it. So I wasn't expecting otherwise, but very, very grateful for that. But everybody, those of you guys listening right now, what I need you to do is make sure you are subscribed, whatever platform you're listening on, subscribe to it. Also head over to the YouTube channel, subscribe over there. This is a video podcast. So a lot of times we actually share stuff on the screen that you're going to want to be able to see as well. So you could listen to it and then go jump over to the YouTube and check it later. So subscribe there. If you need links, go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast, and you can get the show notes, the videos, the links to all the different platforms, and you can just stay in touch. Plus, if you haven't been over to the Build, Grow, Scale website, you might want to check out the blog over there as well, because every week we're also releasing in-depth like case studies and articles and things like that are all built around the same stuff we're talking about on the podcast, just in a deeper format. And again, it's free for you guys if you just head over to buildgrowscale.com. And with that, we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.